This is tamarind that I bought. You can buy them at Indian stores, Oriental stores. Sometimes the Mediterranean stores have it. It's kind of sticky to work with, so I open them all first and get them ready to put in the water. They're usually 14 ounces. Now what I'm going to do with it is soak them in hot water and release all the paste that's around the tamarind seeds. Now I have something coming up where I need a lot of it, so I'm going to use 5 packages. You can do it with 1 package, 2, however many you want, just using the same process. And for each package, I add 1 cup of sugar. You can use brown sugar, cane sugar, organic sugar, any sugar you wish. Don't worry about the difference in color. The different brands, some have a little more water than the others. I buy these. You can buy any brand as long as it's nice and soft because they're much easier to work with. They do have the real dried ones and they're like in a block, but it's so hard to work with. You'll see little white pieces of the skin from around the tamarind seed, and I don't care for those. Now I'm going to put some hot water on. You got to be careful. You don't want to put too much. Not even as much as covering it because you're going to work it. And I'm breaking them apart, see? There's one of the seeds. They say they're seedless, but there's always seeds in it. And you don't want too much water because then you have to cook it down longer to have all the water evaporate. This one's a little firmer. Each one is a little different depending on the brand, but they're all just pure tamarind. I really like this one because, see, it's really easy to work with. So we're going to work with that later. I work at the sink. What I'm after is a nice thick paste. It doesn't have to be real thick, but if you make it too thin, it doesn't work. It doesn't last as long. When I make it, I can leave it on the shelf and nothing will happen to it because enough of the water is cooked down and it's cooked down enough to, it just preserves itself. What I'm doing is breaking it all apart. You can see the strings. That's why I do this, so I can get all that out and it's not in my cooking. When I'm done, I'll have a nice smooth paste. When I add sugar, because most of what we use this for is a sweet and sour type food. We use it for our kusa, stuffed squash, stuffed eggplant, cabbage rolls. I use it for quite a few things. I even put it in my kibbeh. My hushwit when I make kibbeh because my kids love the flavor. I also use it when I make my mother's Syrian type lahmacun, which is our little meat pies. So I put tamarind and onions in that and salt and pepper and put it on a thin dough. And I can't make them fast enough when my kids are around. Now as you can see, it's starting to get pasty and release all the tamarind from it. But there are seeds and there are strings in it because it's still the raw tamarind. Okay, now I'm going to put a little more hot water. Again, I don't like to put too much, but I do have 5 packages in here. Now, see the thickness there? Now what I'm going to do, I have this wonderful strainer that I bought a while back. The holes are a little small, but it still works real well. What I'm going to do is work it into this. Take a little more, put it in here. Now you might say this is quite an ordeal just to make a paste so that you can use for your cooking, but this is how my mom did it and I enjoy doing it this way. It's a little more economic because when you buy it in the jars, it's real thin and has been watered down, and you would have to use so many jars to make a meal because I make big pots when I make my stuffed squash or eggplant or any of the things that I use it for. There, see, I got a lot out of this. This is a good batch because it's getting a lot of yield from it. I've only done it once so far, but look how much I have. Now what I do is put it back in the pan. I put the hot water on again. And remember not to put a lot of water. But see, now that water will actually get thick again because there's still so much paste in the tamarind. If you're only going to do 1 or 2 packages, it's much easier than what I'm doing. But doing 5 of them is a lot. I use it for quite a few meals, and this way I've got it. See how it thickened again? And now I'm going to do the same again. Put it through the strainer and get the paste out of it. See all the paste? It really is nice. As you can see, I've done that twice. Now I'm going to put it back in and do it another time. If you have a garbage disposer, be careful to cover it because you don't want to get those seeds in your garbage disposer. They're real hard. Some people used to take gourds and empty them out, and they'd take this tamarind seed and they would make rattles out of them. It's really cute. My mom told me about that. See, I'm still getting paste from around the seeds and all the rest of the pulp that I didn't get yet. I'm going to just do the straining process again, and then I'll throw the rest out. The more I squeeze, the more I get. See how much I got already? I might get 4 or 5 quarts out of this. Usually you can count on about a quart per package. So if you do 1 package, you might get a quart or a little bit less, depending on how much you cook it down. All right, I just squeezed out the last after doing it 3 times. This is what one of the seeds look like. They're a little tiny, shiny, but all the meat of the tamarind is wrapped around them. You actually have to take the skin off to get to that seed. Now this, can't get any more out of it. I've gotten as much as I can. As you can see, I got a lot of paste, nice thick paste. I transferred the other smaller pot into the big one because it will splatter as it cooks. I'm putting the last sugar in. I had 5 packages, so I'm putting in the last cup of sugar, stirring it well. Okay, I've got all the sugar in there now, and stirring it up, making sure it all dissolved. Got the burner on medium, and that's pretty hot on my stove, but I'm going to leave it there until it starts cooking, and then I will lower it down to medium low and let it cook. I usually let it cook 6 to 8 hours. See how it's brown now? It's not only going to be cooking down and evaporating the water, it actually cooks, and when it's done, it will be a black. That's when you know it's done, and it will be thicker. You do have to stir it once in a while so that you can check it, know that it's not sticking, know that the burner's not too hot, and let it cook. It's been on about 10 minutes already, and it's already bubbling. So I'm just going to stir it some more. It's getting hot. If it's bubbling, I'm going to lower the temperature now. Well, it's been about 3 hours. I've been stirring it off and on. As you can see, it's getting thicker, and you can tell it's decreasing by the side of the pan. Well, it's been on for 5 hours now, and you can see how it has decreased and evaporated. Now this brown stuff on top, you don't have to worry about it. You just stir it in. It just is a foam from cooking, but it's still not done cooking. Because see, it's still pretty thin, and I want to cook it more so that it'll thicken more. Looks pretty thick now. It's pretty black. It's been 6 hours it's been on there. If you make a smaller amount, it will not take that long, but you do have to cook it until it turns black and thickens. I'm going to move it off the burner and let it cool down. I could let it just be warm and bottle it up, and the jars will seal. But if I leave it till tomorrow morning, it'll be cold enough, and I'll be able to put it in the jars. And they might not seal, but they don't have to seal. It's completely cooled down. It's nice and thick. I let it sit overnight because it was late when we made it. It doesn't have to be hot to put it in the jars because it doesn't have to seal. I let it evaporate a little more than most people, but I like it thick. It has a better taste, and it works better. This will last me a little while. Here we go. I use 2-quart jars because I use it quite frequently, and it's a little easier for me than the 1-quart jars, having so many. I got 5 quarts out of all that I made.